Right, so let's talk about Good Burger 2. So, as I normally do, because I am the preamble guy, let me do a preamble, right? So, in preparation for this movie, right, I recapped, or I should say rewatched Good Burger, right? From
Okay,
1997, right?
no problem.
Um,
Yeah.
Honestly, I have not seen that show in ages. Honest, I do even think I remember when I saw it, right? And I'll tell you why. Because when it was out theatrically, 'cause I remember when it was out in theaters back in '97, I didn't watch it. I didn't watch it. And yes, it was during the
I
summer.
didn't see it. I didn't
Yeah,
see it in theaters. I saw this. I remember they eventually showed it on Nickelodeon, or they showed it on cable like a year later, or something like that. But I saw it
yeah.
on cable.
I
I watched it on
yeah,
cable,
I think I saw it on cable, like not on Nickelodeon, but somewhere
and I don't
else.
remember getting it for VHS either.
Yeah, so I didn't see Good Burger in theaters, right? I saw it eventually on cable, right? If I'm not mistaken. Um, and I don't know, like I just forgot about it, right? Which is so weird, right? So just to start off, right? All that and Keenan and Kel, right?
Yeah,
I am more of a Keenan and Kel fan. That was the that
me
was that
too.
was pretty much the show that introduced me to all that, which is weird, I know, right? Because I didn't have cable back then. That was my excuse, right? So I'll never forget. TV6 used to show Keenan and Kel, and
Okay,
Channel 2
yeah.
used to show all that. So when
Okay,
Keenan
right.
Kel was blowing up now, I remember he used to run it like in the late 90s, right? Especially during summer when, there was no school, so I used to watch this weekdays, right? Still really enjoy that show. I don't say I flat out love it, but I really enjoy that show. A lot of great moments there. And it's just the chemistry that Keenan Thompson and Kel Mitchell had was just undeniable, right? And of course,
Yeah,
that team song from Coolio is a bop. I
yeah,
have it on my
classic.
phone. It's a bop,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
It's a bop, right?
Yeah,
Um, and then I saw all that. I was like, oh, that's where it came from. And I was introduced to
right.
other actors, other great actors as well, too, well, the other Sazi show, comedic actors and whatnot who were there, right? And that was where I was introduced to the whole Good Burger segment, right?
Right.
And, that's where I saw Kel doing the welcome to Good Burger, home to
Yeah.
Good Burger, kind of get your order. And I was like, oh, that's where it is. That's where this Good Burger movie that I saw advertised on TV came from. I didn't know that. Okay, again, didn't have cable, right? So eventually I saw the film, but for the life of me, I couldn't remember a single thing about it, right? Because my whole takeaway from that whole era, right? Let me just call it all that era, right? Was Keenan and Kel, was that TV show, right? It just always stood out so much to me, right?
Well, the
Um,
two of them were the breakouts from the show. Like it had the others went on to do other stuff, but they were the major two big people to come out of the show.
exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
Keenan Thompson right now, he is
And right,
he's
right.
he's
Yeah,
he's,
and when he
he's
went, he
SNL alumni right now, right? And
right,
Kel,
and when
well,
he goes on to even bigger heights later. So yeah,
yeah, exactly. And quite famously, he was in the Fat Albert
right.
live action movie, which I actually went to
Well,
see in cinema. I actually went to
yeah, yeah.
cinema.
Well, that's the thing. He kind of make his bones off of like just that was one of his first like big things was him doing a Cosby impression. That's
Yes.
what he's known for.
Hmm.
Yeah, and mostly that. So there's a whole interesting history with respect to that.
Right.
But yeah, they make a reference. We'll get to that later too. About something like that. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
yeah. So all right. So wrapping up here, right? So years later, right? I usually kind of recap, certain episodes of Keenan and Kel, or just sort of remember moments, right? And like many people who enjoy that show, and I guess the extent all that and Good Burger, all this they're wondering, when would Keenan and Kel actually like reunite now? And they always used to tease it, like what, they'll do it eventually, but they didn't, right? And then we got word that this movie was coming out, right? I remember a trailer came out for it, but I didn't want to see it. Reason being is because again I didn't see the first one. I haven't seen that in a long while, so and it's a good thing too that I did not watch the trailer for this because yeah they actually spoiled the whole movie, like they give you the whole gist of the movie,
Too
and that
much.
was
Yeah.
yeah which sucked, man, you know what I mean. But I should mention last year, right? Late last year, where there was that one episode of Saturday Night Live with Gail Kiki Palmer who show up, right? Who was hosting the show, right? And yeah, and much to my surprise, I guess you're surprised too, right? There was a Keenan and Kel sketch thread, and it
Right.
was like it just caught me completely by surprise, right? But the big takeaway from that too really was not just oh gosh, not just Kiki's baby bump, But Kel Mitchell was there now, you know what I mean? And he
Yeah.
was doing the whole, he was playing himself in the show and the whole orange soda stuff now. And you seen it alongside Keenan, who, if you watch SNL, he always does that, you know, no, you're not. You know what I mean? What are you talking about? This is stupid. He always does the whole street man thing. Like everybody around him is acting weird, and he's like, "No, this is stupid." Why he always does that so well, right? But yeah, it was seeing the two of them together had me like kind of hyped. Like, okay, this Good Burger 2 thing could be something there, you know what I mean? Off of what I saw from that brief sketch, right? But last, as far as my recap of Good Burger, right? It is a product of its time, right? It is, right? But I
Yeah.
will lie though, it just took me back to like just no lie, like 1997 was a weird year for movies, right? 'Kay, I remember this was the same year that we got Batman Robin, and
Yep.
Mortal Kombat Annihilation. It was
Yep.
just a year, like, we were young, right? We were still in primary school or, about to go to secondary school, right? So, we were just seeing fun, goofy, weird, flashy stuff in front of our eyes. And, we just watch it because it's a Hollywood film, right? But then, as you get older and you start looking at these shows, like, wow, this is like so dated or so dumb, right? When it came to like me just watching over Good Burger, right? Yes, it's a product of its time, right? It is tailor made for kids. It is for the all that fans. It's for the Keenan Kel fans. For me, Kel Mitchell is the MVP of that whole show. Just the energy that
Yep.
that man put into that film, right? Even yes, he is this black man talking like a white surfer dude, and he just
Yeah.
dropping all these dumb, just incredibly stupid one-liners, right?
So
But
yeah,
still, the
that
energy that the man put into that boy is like,
I
wow, boy.
preferred I preferred his character from Keenan and Kel over Good Burger. I just find
Yes.
his thing. I don't mind a dumb character, but you can't have a character who too dumb,
Yeah, and yeah,
right?
no, like, oh gosh, Ed, that's his name, right? Ed,
And
right?
yeah, Ed too dumb.
Yeah, Ed
Ed
is
too dumb.
too dumb, right?
Too dumb.
But
Like
still, Kel
Kel from
put so
Keenan and
much
Kel.
energy in it, though. It's like,
Oh
all
yeah,
right, I can
he
still watch
clearly
it.
he clearly loved the character, whatever it is. But what I'm saying is that Kel from Keenan and Kel in the show was dumb, but he wasn't like you understand why he dumb. Like
Yes,
he's just a dumb dude, right? He does dotish.
yeah,
But Ed too dumb. Ed is
that's the
comically
problem.
dumb, and I get it. I get what they're going for. Is like this, over exaggerated kind of conceit of stupidity. But God, man,
I know, boy.
nothing about him makes sense. It's like how you getting out, how you surviving, how you alive, and
Yeah,
that's what they have him. Like what they do it. And again, there's a big running joke about that in this new movie. But it's like, yeah, this man only surviving, but thriving, but
thriving,
flourishing,
yes,
yeah,
flourishing, yeah,
flourishing,
yeah.
yeah. I was like, all
Right.
right, well, what?
Yeah. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
so I'll wrap up here, right? So today, right? When if looking back at Good Burger, right? Yes, it's a kid show, right? I imagine, if I was like for me, if I was really that big into all that, I'd have really enjoyed it as a kid, right? And I probably
Right.
would have had a blast seeing it theatrically, right? But seeing it after the fact, I was like, well, I kind of prefer Keenan and Kel, the show itself, right? But
Right.
Good Burger itself is what it was, right? It's a Nickelodeon show. It's for the kids. That's what it was, right? I'll give the show credit. It knew its audience, right? It's for kids, right? It's for kids who want to see cars crash into each other and people slip on banana peels and fall, right? It's for that, right? But of course, the cell is Keenan and Kel together in their first feature length film. Now that's the gist of it, right? Um, and in a retrospective look at it, right, just to wrap things up, right? You could kind of see this as sort of a stoner comedy in a sense, but more
A little bit.
like, all right, if you grew up on all that, if you grew up on Keenan and Kel, and if you saw Good Burger as a kid, and you're just looking for like just some dumb shit to watch while you get high, yeah, put on Good Burger and you're like, oh shit, yeah, I remember this when I was a kid. That's really what it was, right? But in no way would I call this like some cult. Well, I guess you could call it a cult classic, right? But in no way would I call this a stoner classic, right? The reason why I'm bringing up stoner classic is because the style of humor, right? It doesn't take itself seriously at all. It's just this irreverent humor. It's just, and then of course the character of Ed just being like, dude, and you know what I mean, kind of looking
Yeah.
high a majority of the time, even though yeah, the character don't smoke at all, right? Yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You kind of need a character like that in a movie, in a comedy, right? And no matter what hijinks take place, yeah, if you get high to it, yeah, it's a stoner movie, right? But I mean, it is what it is, right? That's what really what I want to see, right? But yeah, Ricardo, before you get into Good Burger 2, yeah, you can talk about the history with this with the first movie and in particular all that on Keenan Kel.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just my just you work in history, just that I was kind of fans of Snick. If you remember Snick, that was me. I used to watch Snick kind of. All that was kind of funny. It's like, okay, they're doing the whole SNL but for kids thing. I kind of get it. It works for the time, and it was kind of funny. One thing I do remember is Ross Perot. That a girl who used to do Ross Perot. That was great. But all the other side people was pretty good. And they make a bunch of great jokes. Oh, just speaking of that, for this in the promotion material, I think on TikTok I saw they brought back Pierre Escargot, um, if you know who that is. So that was Keenan's character who used to just say random shit in a rain suit in Paris in a bathtub.
Oh,
Like, right,
I vaguely remember that character. Vaguely,
right,
vaguely. But I know
right.
you're talking about.
So he brought that back in a reference to for the show. Like,
Uh,
okay, and there's another all that character, recurring character. So they're doing the whole SNL movie thing. And yeah, well, Good Burger was by and large as good as as good as you would get from all that, and it makes sense that they had the money to do it. And to me, Good Burger no more worse than any of the other SNL, you know, sketch the comedy movies. Like it
mm.
have like about 10 SNL sketch the comedy movies, and only like what 2 or 3 of them good.
Well, Wayne's World, I think is the
Yeah,
best.
just
I think. Yeah.
Wayne's World. Bob Roberts, I think, is probably the best one, maybe. And I liked Coneheads. I remember
Oh,
liking Coneheads, but
I never watched
I sure,
Coneheads though.
yeah, but I sure if you go and watch, if I sure I go and check the score for Coneheads, it's like 35 or some bullshit like that. Like,
you know.
well,
Yeah.
yeah. But I remember Wayne's World, the first one being decent. I remember
Yeah.
the
Well,
second one
I
not
didn't. I
being
didn't
great.
care for two. I didn't care for two at
Yeah, I
all.
remember two being kind of forgettable. That's
Yeah.
really Wayne stock thing, and that's kind of fall flat for me. But I remember, like, I know Bob Roberts was really funny. Like, I remember Bob Roberts being pretty good, and that's like not really known as a sketch, and that came out the same year. They're like, what? But anyway, uh, I just, this to me, all the way this movie was okay. Like at the time, it just worked for what it was supposed to be. It made it funny to kids. I remember Sinbad was in this, and he was funny in it.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's so funny because while I was watching him in that movie, I was reminded that the year before he was in a little, which I could safely call a cult classic film called Jingle All the Way.
right?
Yeah, so he
Yeah,
was riding
yeah.
high off of that success.
Yeah. He was big in the 90s. I remember he had some really funny stand up. He was one of the few clean stand up comedians, as he was meant as a kind of reactionary counterculture kind of thing, similar to like Will Smith being the clean rapper. It's like
Yeah.
that.
I even went
Same way.
cinema to see First Kid. I think that's the name of it because yeah, a whole big Sinbad was. I went and see that
I
show.
remember that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. Yeah. So he used that, and so, but I remember that's Good Burger just being fun for what it was. It dotish, a bunch of people from all that and SNL in it. Um, they make a reference to this, and I will get to that very soon. But that was good on its own. And then the plot was just a straightforward plot. It's like, oh, the big corporation trying to buy out the small company, so on so. And they just do the more or less same script for this one, and that's it.
Yeah.
Uh,
But
that's
before we jump into Good Burger 2, you mentioned Keenan and Kel though. Like, I mean,
no, I love Keenan and Kel actually. I thought it was a pretty good show.
mm,
Great sketch bits. It had I'll never forget the tuna episode. That shit just cracked me up every time.
oh
But yeah,
yeah. That's a classic. I remember that.
yeah. Right, and then yeah, it's just a show that worked for what it is. I remember the ending was pretty sad. They make it work where basically Keenan moves out and they had that whole thing and the life goes on with the show.
Yeah.
And it just works. It was a decent family dynamic. Although the who they get for the parents and the younger sister was pretty good as
Of
well.
course.
Again,
Points for getting Ken Foree dread, as in Donnie dead Ken
yeah,
Foree, yeah, to be the dad
yeah,
dread. That was like real cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And they make it work. And I thought they would do more with that with this show. I thought they would make a lot more callbacks as it was, but we didn't really get that.
Yeah.
Uh, and then yeah, the show was just a funny show. Again, the Coolio theme song is a classic. Much like how they get TLC to do all that. They get a rapper. A lot of like black stuff in Nickelodeon in the 90s for some reason. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
And
It's
and, and
just
that's last point about Keenan Kel, and then we move on, right? And yeah, for better or for worse, that show put me on to orange soda. Like, the Who
oh yeah,
Loves
yeah.
Orange Soda. That was me.
They, they
I
make they
even I
make
even love how you said end with why. I used to love to
yeah
say that too.
they make that joke in this as
In
well.
this one, yes, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it. It's done nothing. So when they finally thing is like eventually Kel, I forget what Kel was doing in between, other than Keenan on SNL forever now at this point. Kind of insane how long he on SNL. But Kel, I forget what Kel was doing. He went back to a Disney Channel show or something like that. He was doing this thing.
I don't remember. I
Yeah.
haven't followed up on this guy's career
But yeah,
since. Yeah.
he does yeah, like he does do thing for what it was coming back as a thing. Yeah, he still was a reasonably decent actor, but yeah, I'm not sure if he fell on hard times per se, but he's one of those who really came across like he would do that. Because I always thought that Keenan was much more talented than him as far as comedy goes, because he was a better straight man and he had better comedy time.
Mm.
That's what made Keenan. To me, Keenan was much more talented than Kel. Kel is a funny, goofy guy, but I never got the sense he was talented. Right, whilst Keenan had legit comedy talent. I'm not surprised he went on to SNL. And Keenan is just good straight man time, and they do that really well in this, like for what it is. But yeah, as for this, let us get to this now. Uh, I expected to completely hate this, and I didn't. Right, I just thought it was kind of bad, but it was much better than expected, surprisingly.
Oh
As it is, it's
wow.
not.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're gonna
I
have one
really
of
thought.
those debates now. But yeah, go
Yeah,
on.
listen, I thought, I don't know if I get off in my old age or something like that, or if I'm a bias towards it, because I don't think I do. But I was watching it and thinking, I'm gonna be rolling my eyes, I'm not gonna be paying attention, but I was actually like watching it like, oh, it have funny enough comedy beats too, for what it was though. And I was like, yeah, this was much better than expected, surprisingly charming and funny for what it was. It worked in that it kept the 90s goofiness and I avoided being too cynical. That's the main thing. And then it surprisingly didn't feel like it was pandering the nostalgia too much. Like I really thought, oh, it's gonna be complete nostalgia sludge, and it wasn't. And how I feel about this, it feel like it kind of feel like in my kind of clicks too a little bit, where
Mm.
they make a workable evolutionary material, and also the marketing campaign for this was fun. Again, like with Keenan bringing back PIS Cargo for that one bit on TikTok, that was funny. And it had some decent callbacks and cameos from SNL, like Ego and Woodham,
Yeah, I was
the
like,
wife,
hey, look,
which was
McGill
funny.
there too.
But
Word.
they
Nice.
bring back what's she name? What was the model back in the 90s?
Oh,
Roxanne.
Comedy lecturer.
Comedy lecturer,
I
right?
forgot that she was in this show to
Yeah,
she was
and
in the last
that's
show.
because I was wondering. That was a funny joke as it was, eh? Back in the days, like, wait, how can I so much sure do? I like, wait, you get through with Roxanne, there's something going on. But they make a whole funny, they will make a whole bit of that. And it's like, they just play it for what it was. It's bad, eh? I'm not saying this is some kind of masterpiece. It's still probably going to get worse of the year, or at least a dishonorable mention. But I could not get myself to hate this somehow. I really thought I would have been like, wait, boy, fuck this movie kind of thing. And I was like, no. And they made like a bunch of references. They made a Dan Schneider joke because they make rap. Because here's the thing: Dan Schneider wrote Keenan and Kel. He was the creator of it
Yeah, yeah,
originally.
yeah.
So I
That
was like,
guy
and then
being right. Yeah, yeah. He played Mr. Bailey, right, in the first one.
right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though, right? So if you know the story of Dan Schneider and what happened with that, yeah, Dan Schneider is like borderline some Cosby nonsense was going on in Nickelodeon. That's a whole piece
Oh
of drama, right?
wow.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah.
did
Look
not
it
know
up.
that. Swear to God.
That's all I'll say. All I'll say. Just don't Google why it is that Nickelodeon had a big foot as the symbol.
Oh shit.
It's probably why, right? I don't know why. But yeah, it's a whole drama with that. So when Kel made reference to that, he said, the former manager who just vanished and disappeared into nothingness. I was like, oh wow,
Mm,
did they really do that, Jared?
I
I'm
remember.
like, yeah, no,
Mhm.
that's funny though. So I started when I saw that, I started looking for the little in betweens behind the scenes little jokes and reference, and there's a lot of them. And they have a lot of like reference and jokes and call outs and all these little like people. Somebody from Please Don't Destroy is in the story. You know, a bunch of SNL people in it.
Mhm.
Again, Ego and Woodham. She was I think Bodiak was in a little clip for the little things like that. And so it come together and it ended up just working and gelling together a lot better than it is. Again, I don't think it's good. Like, let's be clear. Good Burger 2 is not good. But it's like the Space Jam 2 thing. It's no more worse than the original. That, in my humble opinion, it does
Uh-huh.
exactly what it needs to do. It targets it's for that audience. So like if you liked it and you're watching it with your kid now, they might like it because it just feels like the old show. It just feels like the old movie. Like it really feels like part two. Like again, like Clerks 2. That's how I kind of compare it. Like it's just an evolutionary material in there in a way, and they make it work. They explain where Keenan character went and how he end up and how he come back. The cameo at the end is great with Keenan's sister, the character's sister, who comes back to play her.
Yeah.
That's funny, and that's a funny bit. I like what this actually happened. Like at no point I laughing and thinking, "Wait, boy, fuck this will make him laugh." It's more like, okay, that kind of funny. Like for me at least. I
Mm.
don't know if I get soft in my old age, but it's that. Like that's how it felt, and I could not get myself to hate this. Again, let's just remind everyone in the audience out there, this movie is not good. It's still bad, but it's about as good as the original. Like, and the original was good. The original was shit. So it's like, whatever. Moving on. Yeah, I don't know how I'm feeling about it, but yeah, it was fine. It was tolerable. I wasn't drunk or anything like that either. Like I had 3 beers and I was like, hey, this is real funny. No, watch it normal. It kept my attention. It had funny enough bits. I think one a big part of it is that I didn't watch the trailer ahead. I didn't see the trailer before watching. I went into it as blind as I could, so I
Mm.
didn't watch the trailer, and I was just dismissive of it. And I ain't watching the trailer. Well, it's gonna be shit. But I'm gonna watch it for the show. I watched it for you, right? Then I watch it, and then I saw all. But when I watched back the trailer, I see all the bits. I was like, all right, well, this is not. And them jokes are not spoiled for me. So I ended up laughing at some of the jokes, like the part where Kel was just getting something wrong, and Keenan reminding him a thing. That's
Mm.
funny. I forget what it is dumb ding dong ping pong
Well,
like
yeah,
that was
it started off with oh gosh, with King
right.
Kong, yeah, and Ding
Yeah,
Dong,
right,
yeah.
right. I like dumb shit like that. Dumb shit like that just make me laugh sometimes because
Mm.
like it's a funny bit. But I'm sure if I show it in the trailer, I'll be like, okay, I see this joke already, so I'm not laughing.
Yeah,
It's
well,
that
it was the trailer, god damn it.
exactly.
It was.
Or the other one is little dumb shit like don't attack. That's funny. Like it's dumb but funny. Like
Yeah.
that
Mm.
guy smile out to me. Whatever. Moving on. Anyway, tell me how I'm wrong, Matthew.
No, no. Here's the thing, right? You're actually not wrong, right?
Right.
Right. So if you just go in with your expectations real low and you're just expecting a repeat of what the first film was, then you will be entertained by what it is you see, right?
Right.
But for me though, unlike you, I hate this.
Right.
And I have to explain why, right? So, folks who are listening here, I mean, I know like cynical asshole, right? Like I know who the audience is for this, right? It's catering to the fans of the old show. And, hopefully if they have, kids of their own, you can introduce them to this, right? All that's fine. And just to get the positives out of the way, right? It was great, right? Seeing Keenan and Kel together, right? Even though they like in the 40s right now, you know what I mean? They're still there. They still have that comedic timing down. They're still willing to do whatever. Kel again is an MVP. He just willing to see and do dumb shit, just to entertain us, right? And he does that so well, right? Also the direction, not that bad too, right? I'm not familiar with the director who worked on this, but it wasn't like, the guy from before, of course. It wasn't Brian Robbins, right? Well, one of
Right.
the showrunners for like all that and Keenan Kel was somebody else, right? So it looked good, right? Also like how they incorporate, some of the some SNL, faces or whatnot.
Right.
And like how they continue the relationship between Ed and Dexter, right? In particular Dexter and where he's at in his life right now and how he eventually gets back into Good Burger kind of makes sense, right? And
Right.
Ed, being the weirdo that he is and how his life has progressed for the better. Yeah, that was really interesting as well too, right? And I do like the fact that we get sort of like an updated version of the corporation one. It's the corporation wanted to take down
Right.
Good Burger. Now is the corporation wants to buy out Good Burger and make it their own,
Right.
right? That's very cutting. I don't want to say cutting. That's very
Oh, well, it's the
modern,
same.
right?
It's the same. It's the exact same uh beat. Like it's the same story.
It
It's just the
is.
updated story to now. That's it.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
that that being said, though, that being said, right now when it came to the first movie, right? Like the first movie when I watched it over, didn't have me rolling on it, laughing in stitches and all that kind of stuff, right? I just saw it, a chuckle at some points, but again, I just treated it as a kids' film, and it was in '90s, right? It's like that, right? And I have to go back to the whole stoner comedy vibe of things, right? Where you can look at these shows that was just dumb fun, right? Just really dumb fun, and you can kind of watch it over and be like, like it's dumb fun, but I guess you enjoy it even more if you were half baked, whoever it is, right? Or if you're high,
Right.
whoever it is, right? So it's like that, right? While I was watching Good Burger 2, I couldn't help but ask myself, like again, like even though I know in my head who the audience is this for, I was still asking myself, who is this really for? Really, is it just for the diehard Good Burger fans, the ones
Well,
who
I mean, it's
really have this
debatable.
first film as a classic or something like that? Like, why
No,
does
it's
this movie exist,
debatable.
shit?
It's debatable that if young kids will like this in the same way, like it's clearly like a projection of what kids may like, but I think they might. So I think it's a decent enough like calculation on the part of the creators of this, no? Because it's clearly for like that is what it felt like. And like, to me, it didn't feel like it had nothing that was racy or nothing about it. Like to me, felt like anything that was wait, this not for kids or anything like that. So
Oh no
I
no
get
no,
what you
that's fine.
right,
Yeah.
right,
But
yeah,
yeah, but I don't know. I for me, I was just watching this, and you were saying about you didn't roll your eyes or whatnot. I didn't roll my eyes, but I was just like watching jokes play out. I'd be like, oh okay, that's a joke, okay,
yeah, yeah,
or that's a joke, okay, okay, okay. All
yeah,
right,
yeah.
so Kel, so it's in the trailer, goddammit, right? Yeah, some guy complaining that, hey, I didn't ask for ice in my drink,
Right.
and Kel
That's a
puts
joke.
his hands in the man drink and
That
throw
that's a
it out,
joke.
right?
Yeah,
That's a joke, right?
that's a
And
joke.
it was just that, like, throughout the entirety of the show, and
Yeah,
I didn't even laugh, I didn't
yeah.
chuckle, I just sort of watching this thing, and like,
Listen,
why, why?
Matthew, I will admit, if I saw the trailer, my brain would have already processed that joke, and I won't laugh. That's all I'll see. Because I know, even though I see the bit already, I know the bit coming. Once you see the joke, if you tell me the joke 2, 3 times, you had to know to tell the joke in a real impressive way. That's the problem.
Yeah,
They keep doing like a bunch of stuff that was a reference. Again, I don't laugh and I go for it, because the movie we watched last week, the movie, what do you call it, the Western last week, that
Outlaw Johnny Black, yeah,
right, that's better than this, But because
of
you had a,
course, yeah,
but that because I had such high expectations for that, that I hate that way more. This
yeah.
no expectations, and I just get a little smirk, like they make a Michael Bay reference. That kind of funny.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and I just say
it's
like,
dumb.
okay, that's a joke, okay, right?
Yeah,
All right,
it's
so
dumb.
yeah,
They kind
it's
of funny.
dumb. All
Whatever.
right, so I
Yeah,
think for me, why I was really let down by this, right, is that you could argue and say yes, the first movie was dumb, the first movie was shit anyway. Why should the second one be any better? So you telling me in the space of time between 97 and 2023, somebody could not sit down and come up with a smarter, funnier script that still lean towards the same dumb, goofy humor that you remember from the first film? Like, nobody did that. Everything was
no,
just straight down the middle, just dumb, goofy shit just because. And
yeah,
it's doing all this stuff in the attempt of, hopefully, the younger people who didn't grow up on Good Burger could appreciate this, they could like it, but the older people who will watch this might like it too. I imagine like older fans who might watch this might groan even more than we do, right? You know what I mean?
I
Like,
have no
jeez,
idea.
but like
I have no
this
idea
is
because
what we really, what I mean? Like, wow, like I know, like like it's almost a sense that they could look back at the first movie and be like, wow, like I mean, I know the first movie was bad, but we were kids, we didn't know any better. And now we
no,
seeing this
but
and we kind of being
that's what
reminded of how bad it really
exactly.
was.
But that's what the gamble they make for this one too. It's like, yeah, if you're concerned about it, you're probably too old for it. Like again, they kind of rely on the gamble of you watching this with your kid and your kid not being completely ignorant to the material, because it,
Yeah,
it just feels just like the first movie, like in terms of the same humor, it's same dotish humor.
yeah,
That's why I can't like come down on this too hard, because I don't know what to punch up to make this work in that sense now. Like no, that's the audience. That's what it is. Like
right.
I don't know what to say as it is now. But yeah, I
I
get
don't
where you're
know.
coming from.
Yeah.
Here's my attitude, right?
Mm,
If they want to really, to me, if anything, if they really want to evolve the material, they don't have to go. It's not gonna be Clerks where you're gonna get some dark nonsense, right? Clerks is for adults, full stop. But the thing is, straight up just do a different project with Keenan and Kel together. Like they could have just didn't need to make Good Burger 2 at all. Like to be
thank you.
honest. Like why did the two of them don't have other scripts? And by the way, they made that joke in this. They try to make it as self-aware as possible because,
Mm-hmm.
well, what could I do otherwise if I'm not,
Yeah, if
doing
I'm not
Good
working a
Burger?
good burger again. Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I
And
know.
they
I
make they
remember that.
make they make that joke of, well, it's possible that Keenan and, well, like, is it possible that Keenan and Kel, if trajectory was different, that their careers gonna be a big comedy duo they're going through, like, I forget who was big comedy duos back in the years, where they just make a bunch of other shit together and they blow up. But that's not how their life end up. It's just, one went to SNL and that was it. You just see in
Yeah,
SNL different.
yeah, and that was it, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, you know what I mean. And well, there's just a few things that I'll get through it,
Oh,
right?
yeah, like, okay, here's the comparison off the top of my head as two people doing stuff together. Key and Peele.
Key and Peele, yes. What
Right.
was the
It's
show they
like
did?
that.
Keanu. That was the name of
Keanu,
the.
which was terrible, which
Yeah,
was
I heard
terrible.
that. I didn't. I never watched it.
I saw that.
Never
I
got
saw
into
that.
it.
I saw that. That was terrible. Absolutely rubbish. But then they split up, and, well, one went on to be a masterful, master horror director, and, well, Keegan Michael can do anything.
Yeah,
He's not
yeah, Keegan doing more voiceover stuff. Yeah,
voice stuff, right?
he's been
Exactly.
showing
Yeah,
up in
and
a bunch of like animated
a
films
little
now.
get stuff,
Yeah,
right? But I think that's how I kind of see how they try, because, like, I would have liked to see. To me, they could have sat down. I don't know what would have happened, like career wise. Like let us say the 90s end, and they could have easily done young adult comedies, stoner comedies, outright, and more adult shit as thing. And I thought what happened with Kel Mitchell. Kel Mitchell just never grew up. Like he just stayed in a state of arrested development. I don't know him in any adult roles or even trying to be. Right? He still stay Ed. When he in his Ed costume with the makeup, he not looking any older. It's just one little small thing with his face, his jawline, looking a little taut. That's
Yeah.
about it.
Mm-hmm.
Being age. Looking the same damn
But
way
well,
30 years
like
ago.
that do look weird with that hair, dude. Right? With the braids, he look real weird at that, right? But you
No,
get used to it while you watch the show. But when you
no,
see him
yeah,
the
yeah,
first time, it's like,
but
ugh.
to me, it looked like Ed. It still looked like he looked that much older. To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
he looked, and then but the guy who they got to play his oldest son working there, he's pretty good too.
Oh, Ed too. Like I seen
Yeah,
here, he's played his name is Alex Hibbert. He
yeah,
was
I thought
little in oh gosh, in Moonlight. He was a kid, the kid version of
right, right,
the
right,
lead.
right, right, right. Yeah, he was like yeah, but he actually was really really talented. They're like oh they get good people to do the thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't get myself to hate it. This probably
All
will
right.
still make more worse for the year, Lisa. Leaving it
Mm.
at that.
All right.
But I don't know. I can see what they would have done otherwise as it is now. Like what are you gonna do to punch up this to
All
make
right.
this smarter? Oh,
So okay, so I totally understand where you're coming from, right?
yeah,
Really, at the end of the day, what you see is exactly what you get, right? You know,
yeah,
the whole world apparently asks for a Good Burger 2 movie, and we
apparently,
got that, right? And it really does feel like not even a spiritual sequel. It feels like an exact sequel of the
yeah,
first movie, right? So I will give Jack his jacket for that, right? But I still felt with the gap of time, right?
right.
I'm not knocking
You wanted
the
a
actors, right? I
you
just
wanted a
wanted
masterpiece.
no, not a masterpiece, right? But just
Right.
something a lot funnier instead of just doing
Okay.
dumb shit and just playing it. Okay, the joke is that he's saying something dumb. The joke is he's doing something dumb. Back in '97 when we was kids, okay, we could have let that slide because we were home during the summer watching Nickelodeon, right? Or in my case, watching Key and Kel on local TV, right?
Yeah,
But in
but that's my point,
2023,
though.
man, like come on,
Yeah,
dog,
but
and it's grown
I don't know.
adults doing this.
Yeah, but that's the problem. But that's the problem is that it's for the same kids. And that's how I feel about it. Like they make the
But I will make the argument that even the same kids who grew up on all that by watching something like why you know what I mean
what I'm trying to say is no, no, no.
unless you serious like if you like incredibly saying incredibly right like if you absolutely loved the first film then yeah I mean this is right up your alley and nothing
No, but
wrong
it's for
if you
kids.
love the first film nothing wrong
Yeah, but
but
Matthew, it's for kids now. It's for people who are kids now. It's for 9 year olds and 10 year olds now.
okay
Again, they're making a calculation by saying that Gen Alpha, whoever you want to call this now, well, younger Gen Z or Gen Alpha, have a similar humor to what we had when we were 30 years ago. Right?
all right
That's a calculation. So you could debate if that calculation works or not. I don't know. I have no way to tell. I have to
okay
ask an actual 10-year-old if they like this or not. Right?
all right
I have a younger cousin. He's about our age. We'll watch it for Christmas. I'll ask him. Right?
okay all
But
right so
there's that.
all right,
Yeah.
couple more things, then you get to it, right? So I do understand where you're coming from, right?
Yeah.
I found it so hilarious, right? Just slight spoiler, that Shah Jackson, right?
Yeah. Shout out
who was
Paul Boss.
prominent in the first film, make a cameo in this show. I was like, wow, even
Yeah.
she and all was like, nope, I go with that shit, she just make a cameo. I real laugh at that. And
Yeah.
in the moment that she pop up in was pure cringe to me. But
Yeah.
what I'll say without spoiling anything, it was cool seeing Mikey Day, aka the SNL workhorse right now. I call
Right.
him that
Right.
too because literally every sketch he is there just doing a lot of work. Like yeah,
He's one of
he
the best.
just
I'll say Mikey Day. Mikey Day is one of the best straight men working right now.
yes.
Easily.
Like if you think
Easily.
Keenan is do the street man gimmick well,
Yeah.
no, Mikey did
Yeah.
do it perfectly in my opinion, right?
Yeah.
So it's funny
Yeah.
seeing that, right? And my boy,
Right.
Boy Young, I was like, hey, Wood,
Boy, right, boy, I
you
gotta
there
look
too,
after.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but
The
Ego.
whole
Ego was good too.
yeah,
Ego.
yeah, I was glad to see McGill Ego there too as well, right? But no, like the moment with Sha and them, without spoiling anything, was pure cringe.
Right.
What I'll just say without spoiling anything is a joke from like 3 years ago. That's all I say. It's a
Okay.
joke from 3 years ago, right?
Right.
When it was funny back then, when we had nothing to do. That's my little hint. It was
Right.
funny, right? the instance itself was cringe, but then like the jokes that came out of it was
But
funny,
then
right? But you're
I
dropping this
swear
2020
I,
joke now, like why? Uh,
I swear Sky Jackson made an appearance. Do I want to say that? Who was that girl who was asking when Kel served her some food?
oh, that
Who was that?
is
That's Sky Jackson. Who's that?
hold on, I just have the thing up. I just had your
I
name.
don't
All
keep up.
right,
I don't keep up with young black people
that is
anymore.
Marseille or Marseille Martin. She's from
Martin Wright.
Blackish.
That was,
Yeah,
right, right,
but
right. I was watching
I've
it.
never watched Blackish, so I didn't know who
Right,
she
right,
was,
right,
right? So
right.
yeah, right. So
So yeah,
and it was cool seeing little cameos here and there. That was cool. Seeing Carmen Electra, that was funny.
right.
Got to mention my next girl, Gillian Bell from Workaholics. She was there too. Like,
Right, she was the villain.
hey,
She played the villain sister.
yeah.
Right. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I will lie. I really enjoy seeing she there because she get it. She get it. It's like, all right, it's a good burger sequel. So let me just be as
Yeah,
hammy as possible. And that's
yeah.
exactly
She
what
was
it is
good.
she do.
Yeah.
She and
Right. So
Kel is like the best performance in that whole show.
right.
I should mention too,
Unsurprisingly,
even
I thought
I didn't
Lil Rel
expect
Howery.
Lil Rel Howery was in it as well
Right,
too.
get a little side
Like
role there. Yeah, he was surprisingly funny in this.
yeah, all I like his character in the show and what he does.
Right.
That was pretty funny to me, like in, in that sort of a cynical kind of way, right?
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, and also just by the way, even Sinbad and all too was so dread he didn't even bother to show up, so he just make
Yeah.
a
I don't
cameo as a
expect it.
voice. So I was like, ha, you
Yeah, I
see,
didn't expect it.
even
Yeah,
he and
exactly.
all gets like, why are we doing this, right? So yeah, for
Yeah.
me, I understand totally where you're coming from, Ricardo, but at the end of the day, I just came out of it like, why are we doing this? Like I made a joke on Facebook, I'm too old, he's too old, she's too
Yeah.
old, they're too old, we're all too old for this, right? And that
For
was
this.
just
Yeah,
me
exactly.
watching this. It's just
What
if
all I'll say is I wish that Keenan and Kel just do other scripts. Write other comedy scripts, make it a little more adult. You don't have to do Keenan and Kel all over again. You don't have
no
to
no no no
do you don't have to do, we don't have to do, yeah, much like with Dave Chappelle never do half baked too, right? You don't need to do that, right?
No,
You
because
just
half baked
evolve.
that was the end where it end off, right? I
Exactly.
mean,
You leave
just
it there.
kidding.
You leave it there. But you get my point, right?
Yeah,
You don't need to do that as it is. You tell your story and you move on. And I wish they stuck together, but do other scripts. You don't need a Keenan and Kel too. You do other scripts and then you make a Keenan and Kel or Good Burger reference, and that's it. Quick
yeah,
joke,
yeah.
move on. But
Right.
they can write other scripts, adult scripts for each other. You could still do the body comedy and have it be adult, right?
Yeah.
And it's a shame that they never did that. We don't need Good Burger too. That's all I'll say. I gotta give a rating. All the
I would agree we didn't need it, right? But that's
right.
just last point, right? And you could give your rate, right? Yeah, I agree. Like we didn't need this, right? Like just the gap of time between films, right?
Yeah.
I think that's why I harp on it so much, right? It's just like for me, again, last point about stoner comedies, right? If this came out like say in the 2000s, right? When the stoner comedy was like was becoming
Right.
like a thing, right? See like Dude Where's My Car or Pineapple
Right.
Express. I'm not saying
Right.
the movie must incorporate weed. That's not what I'm saying. I just talk about the style of
Right.
humor, right? It's very 2000s shut your brain off kind of humor. And I just felt like
Right.
in 2023 it's very dated. Like when's the last time that we really got like a stoner comedy? I would say the last one technically was like oh gosh, This Is the End, or that's the one
Right.
with
Right. 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 Yeah.
all these
I remember that. Yeah.
celebrities, hiding
Right.
out
Yeah.
this
Them
one
dead. Yeah.
mansion, the
Yeah.
world coming to an end. Yeah, I mean that's like probably one of the last great stoner comedies that we ever get, right?
Right.
But yeah, like in this case, I know the audience, I know who it's targeted for, right? It still felt dated as hell. It felt late as hell. It felt like,
Yeah.
hey, we didn't do this, so let me just like do it so we don't have to think about it anymore in real life. Let me just do it now. I just
Yeah.
came off like that. This should have come out like I don't know, sometime in the 2000s or even last decade, right? But in 2023,
Well.
that train done
Exactly.
long past, right? But
Yeah.
that's just me. But yeah, Ricardo, your final thoughts, Rita.
Yeah. As I say, I give this I'll give it still a low score, because but I thought I would have hate this. I thought I'd be like, boy, f this movie kind of thing. But it's like,
All right.
well, it
Well,
does feel like more like a
that was me, yeah, but you were more
you're right.
understandable, which I understand. I
Exactly.
understand, right?
Exactly. And my attitude is that it more felt like a reunion kind of thing. Like it is like watching
Yeah,
one of these reunion specials or whatever it is. And especially in the context of all of the drama went on Nickelodeon and all of that unfortunate business involving Dan Snyder in particular, to be
right.
honest. Yeah, I can see why they did it this way or did it that way or whatnot, right? Like they had a running joke with, well, Abe Vigoda died in real life, so they had an old woman who's basically the Abe Vigoda character. Like, actually,
Yeah,
if they could, did I get back in Brigoda? Like, because in Brigoda, he's so old working in bad food. That's a joke.
Yeah,
Stuff
and
like
they
that.
basically do a rinse repeat with this woman. And like, why,
Same joke.
you know?
Same
Oh, I
dumb
should
joke.
mention
Yeah.
too. Speaking of SNL alumni, right? Sorry for cutting you. I know you have to get the rating, right? Well, give it over, I guess. Points for Leslie Jones showing up in this, though.
That is the
Like
cameo at the end. Yeah, that was a
that
funny cameo.
cameo was
That's a funny cameo.
was excellent. I loved
Yeah.
that. Don't mind she was on screen for 2 minutes. I was
Yeah.
loving that them 2 minutes, right?
Listen, Leslie Jones is a criminally underrated actress, right? I know she take
Thank
a lot of
you.
shit when she was on SNL, but the thing with her, right? She exists in the right space and the right time. And when she in the right space and they use her right, she is so good and so funny. Because that last beat with her and Keenan at the end, it is like, oh, that was perfect, though. This
I
is
was
funny.
loving that.
I know,
That was a real sunshine that this movie gave me, Jed. Everything
right,
was just dark clouds and rain and shit.
right. But yeah, I don't know. I couldn't get myself to be too invested in this as it was. So that's why I didn't really hate it, or like I get why you'd hate this, but because I'm not invested in this and it is designed for 9-year-olds now, much like how when you reinvent Scooby Doo or whatever it is, that was the idea. Whatever. Should they need to make a sequel? No, they don't. And I really wish Keenan and Kel were to do more adult body comedies together. That's it. You do more adult body comedies. You don't want to make it dark shit. You don't want to make it too crass. You don't have to make it too. Take it still Nickelodeon. You could still do reasonably clean adult comedy or whatever it is. But you can still make it work. You don't want to be a good worker. But anyway, rating 4 out of 10. It's still bad. Still bad. Not
Yeah.
defending it.
Well,
But
well. For me, same rating, 2 out of 5.
yeah,
I want my money back. Literally, I want my
right,
money back.
right,
This was just dull. This was just a slog to sit through. I was just
right,
seeing these grown ass actors trying to harken back to like the
right.
days of the late 90s. I was just like groaning at all of it.
Yeah,
I was just silent throughout it just because the jokes just fell flat. You know what I mean? But I do understand again where you're coming from with the audience who is targeted for. But I felt like, just again with the gap of time and where we are right
yeah.
now, you know what I mean?
I
I'm not saying that they should spice it up and make it all edgy and woke and whatnot, I just wanted it to be funnier and smarter. Like again,
right,
because the cell, and I'm close to this, the cell is all right. Here you know what it reminds me of almost it's kinda but not exactly like Bill and Ted. What is what
right.
is
The new one, the last one. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, not Saves the World. I think it's Saves the World
The
or
new
Save
one,
the
the new one. I know what you're talking
yeah,
about. The
Save
one
the
that they
Music
do
or whatever it is,
recently.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Nobody asked for a Bill and Ted movie, but
yeah.
it felt like, oh, like this is all right. I see what again. This is clever. Okay, so
Right,
like, see, Keanu Reeves' character isn't like that dumb stoner guy anymore. He's a little bit more zen now, and hey, when he hook back up with the friend, no, that's when he'll get back to that vibe, and it justified the space of time between films, right? This one
right,
was like, okay, well, we're gonna try to, but yeah, we're just gonna try to regurgitate the same humor that we did back
right,
in 97, but just in 2023. That's really the gist of it. And it just did not work for me at all. This will be in my worst off for sure. But no, it
right,
is not the worst film I've seen all year. I've seen way worse than this, I would say, right? So I'll just say in closing, if you're curious, watch it, but go in real cautious, because
yeah,
again, it's that 97 humor that they're really, really desperately trying to recapture in this way. But again,
right.
if the script was a lot smarter, a
I
little
don't
bit
know.
more self-aware, and
Right,
just more comedic, I would have enjoyed it. I would have enjoyed the dumb humor too,
right,
but nah, for me, everything just fell flat, boy. But to be honest, 'cause I don't want to come off like an asshole, throughout this whole thing. It was still great seeing the dynamic duo of Keenan and Kel together again. It's just a shame
right,
that we didn't get this in the 2000s and the 2010s. I understand, life and, career paths and whatnot, but if they had done this much sooner, I probably would have enjoyed this more. But in
right,
2023, too little too late for me, man.
right. Understandable. Yeah. For me, as I said last point, I went in not expecting anything, and I was like, well, I didn't feel like a slog to me. That's what I disagree on. It actually kept my attention. I actually watched it for what it was. Again, I didn't think it felt too cynical, but it wasn't smarter than it was. It's pretty much the same film as the first film. They just evolved it. The general plot conceits of modern technology because all this AI and whatever it is, they had to do all that bullshit. And yeah, they just addressed that. But yeah, I couldn't get into it, and I saw the little in jokes, and that's what had me laughing. Again, the mere fact that they made that Jan Snyder reference is funny to me. Whatever. That's my last point.